So I had a wedding. It wasn't my wedding. It was my sister's wedding.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. It was very interesting to sit there. I have not been to many weddings because I don't like to travel, and they're almost always not where I am because I've lived in different cities. And
you weren't in a fraternity.
I wasn't in a fraternity.
That'll like quadruple your wedding invites.
That'll blow it up. So I've not been to many, and it's been many years since I've been to one. But I was struck by how romantic it is. It
touched you?
No. I mean this like neutrally, like without judgment on the romanticism or negative or positive. It is, I mean, I'm sitting there next to my 9-year-old cousin, or I guess second cousin, daughter of my cousin, I don't know. And I'm just going, well, my sister's up there, and they're saying the nicest things to each other in the vows that they've written, and you're my person, and you make me better every day, and it's just like, I'm going, I want some of that. Like, I'll take that. You know what I mean? Like, this sounds awesome. Wait a second. Also, everybody has to look at you and tell you you're great for like 8 hours. This is sick. So my thought was, for better or worse, and this is just about weddings in general, not this particular one, is I see why everybody wants one. I get now at a deeper felt level why people say like, I just want my person. Like, no kidding, you do. Like, the whole thrust of it was, it's just awesome. It's like, who wouldn't want someone who makes them their best self every single day for the rest of time, who promises to be kind, caring, and understanding, and if there's ever a problem to get over. It's like, look, if I believed that was the likely outcome of a wedding, I would probably be married already.
Oh, dude, if I didn't know divorce rates, if I was like, oh yeah, the divorce rate's 2%, most people that get married stay together, and
whatever
also
you say in your vows is what happens. I'd be like, oh my God, sign me up.
Self-reported happiness goes through the roof when you get married. It's like, this is, I'm not structurally opposed to this. Like,
yes, that was my sense as I was sitting there, and I'm going, am I missing something? And
well, it's also, it's like the real world equivalent of Instagram, in the sense that you'll have a couple go up there and you are my person, the light of my life. You pick me up when I'm down. It's like, didn't I see you guys fight a week ago and 3 weeks ago and 5 weeks ago, and you almost broke up 9 weeks ago, and you cheated on each other 12 weeks ago? It's like, I don't think that he's actually like picking you up every time you're down, but the vows are
awesome,
on point.
Yeah. I felt a bit like this. I guess I'm weird. I felt like an anthropologist, like watching a ritual
of course.
From a interested perspective. Like, wow, this is fascinating. And the question that I had is like, are these vows, which will no doubt, and I mean this in every case, my sister's included, like these will be broken within 30 days. Like, you will be crass and not forgiving. And like and that's not to say that that's a bad marriage. It's just like, you cannot live up to the vow. If you listen to what people say, these will be broken. And even if you make tentative vows, they'll be broken within 6 months to a year, because relationships are tricky.
Yeah. I listened to one guy whose vow was, I'm going to try my best. I bet that he's mostly stuck to it.
Try his best? I mean, even that's, I guess, yeah. If you're like, look, I'm going to be me, and you're going to be you.
It was actually weird to see, because it was my two friends were getting married, and one was like,
I'm going to do my
very, best. Very over, just like
that would be me.
Full romance, full over the top, like the vows you dream of. And then another person was just like, I get annoyed sometimes, but I'm going to try to fight that. And I'm playing it up a little bit, but it was stark. I remember watching me, I'm like, ooh, that's got to hurt after you just shared your heart.
That would be me. And I actually was like, is there value to making promises that you recognize are impossible to keep in front of a group of people who will pretend that they're possible to keep? And I think there is, from a community perspective. Like, it keeps families together when everyone out there is sitting and has watched you say this, and it's very easy to publicly to talk about this, but it's very much more difficult publicly to talk about troubles. Obviously that comes with downsides, but I do think what it does is it keeps family units working through problems, because
I don't think the vows really mean anything anymore. I think back in the day with a small town, maybe there was a time where a husband and wife fought, and someone was like, well, remember your vows. This is part of being married, is you have to, through thick and thin. But now it's like, I don't think
just the vows though. It's tougher to get divorced than it is to break up, because it's embarrassing. You've promised everyone that you love, and you made them come, and they gave you a card. It is embarrassing.
It's weird to think about that and then think about how common divorce is.
Oh, I think that I've never been there, but I imagine that you must feel like a failure if you get a divorce because you made a promise in front of everyone you love that this wouldn't happen.
Divorced people who are listening, chime in the comments. Be curious if you did feel like a failure or if you're like, nah, you guys are way off base. It was awesome.
And I want to make this clear. This isn't about my sister's wedding in particular. I'm like a scientist out there. I'm like studying. Yeah, and I think that though I suspect that there's value to that. If your goal is to maintain the most number of people in relationship to one another, even if that relationship is tumultuous and lacks healthy sex life or the things that can sometimes happen in long-term relationships.
I wonder, because I do know Esther Perel would say that the idolizing of relationships is actually one of the things leading to people being unhappy in relationships or feeling like a failure in the sense that like you're up there, you're seeing the marriage, the amazing vows. Oh my God. And you're sitting next to your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, and you go, oh my God, we had a fight last week. Like, are we broken? I don't feel this way. 2 weeks ago, he needed to have me pick him up from the airport and I said, no, I'll get an Uber. Like, are we messed up?
Yeah.
And her thing, because she's all about monogamy, is we have specifically a myth in the United States, at least, that if your eyes wander, if you look at another person and think they're attractive, or if you have a dream of having sex with someone that isn't your significant other, it's an indication that your relationship is flawed. You're unhappy. Maybe this isn't your person, or your sex life isn't as good as it should be. Something is wrong. And she says, that's just being human. Seeing someone attractive walk by, go, oh, look at that. And then your subconscious one night a year goes, oh, sex with that person in your dreams. And it's like, you're just doing it right. And
you're really, I mean, one night, that would
no,
be
I'm saying, I agree. I'm saying like, this is, people think that they're failing when they have totally human, absolutely not failure screw ups.
She goes even further than that and says that we should aim for monogamish, which is like couple slip ups over the course of a lifetime.
So I'm not going to stand on that or not, because I haven't thought about this at all. I never had a lifelong relationship, but I do think it sets you up to resent the other person, to resent yourself, to feel like a failure, to feel shame because you're doing something that everybody's doing, but everybody's pretending they're not doing.
Yes. Well, I guess what has happened is that the value of the ritual, given the technology we had and the towns that we lived in, was like very, very valuable up until a certain time, and now is needing to morph to something else, which I think acknowledges that relationships are not totally lovey-dovey, peachy, romantic things all the time. And I tend to agree with you in 2021. And this wedding did have that. The vows that they had were one of the last weddings I went to. It was, reading Bible verses, about what love is this, love is that. And even that was a step beyond what it used to be, which is like, I will serve you faithfully and obey what my husband says. Their vows, which they wrote, were much more, I'm my own person, you're your own person. I'm happy that we're together as two people, but we're good. We're going to keep growing separately. So yeah, I do think that it probably needs to evolve and recognize that it's going to be hard if it's going to create happy circumstances for the people that engage in.
Yeah, it's like when we fight
in it,
I promise to cool off.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Yeah.
Like that's a solid vow.
And that would not have been able to be said 40 years ago, or even perhaps more recently.
I'm going to take a walk instead of stabbing you, and then I'll return.
That's a good vow.
And we'll talk it out.
It's a good vow. Like when I get angry, I promise to take walks. Like that's like a pretty good thing to say.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
After I've blown off some steam.
Also at the wedding, I don't know. This isn't that common of a circumstance because I'm different, but I've traveled a lot. I haven't been back. I have a fairly large family. And so I technically know everybody, but I don't know them that well, and they don't know me that well. And it made for it reminded me of some of the charisma questions, which is like, how do you deal with the interactions with family? And then this was multiplied by how do you deal with interactions with family that you haven't seen in a club environment? And it was, I had kind of wanted to go in and connect with people as if it were a one-on-one conversation like this and learn about them and learn about their values and what they're up to. And I, most of the time, did have to accept that it was more like our New York City club experience, which is just saying nonsense back and forth to people, accepting that you're not going to learn anything about them and just hoping that the nonsense that you say puts smiles on their face. And so Yeah, I was just reminded of those two modes of interaction, and I haven't been out in a club in a very long time, so it took me time to adjust to that. I like kept hoping that we would get past the initial stuff, and then I had to be like, oh man, I should have just been doing improv comedy, making nonsense up the whole time, telling people when they ask what I'm doing in California, I should tell them that I'm like a butt model and just, you know what I mean? I should just say things that make them laugh instead of like trying. I was getting like the first 3 questions into every conversation over and over again. And by the end of the night, I was like, I'm an idiot. I know better than this. I used to go out to clubs.
Try to connect. Well, the way you got to do it in the club is you make the person laugh and then you escape the loud music. Yes. You don't do it on the dance floor. You like make the person attracted to you and they go, hey, do you want to slip off to the back bar where it's not so loud and we can actually talk?
Yeah. And the one conversation I had was standing in line for the bathroom. And then we just stood there for a while and talked for 30 minutes about,
No, it was always about, at least for me, it was always about, at some point getting off the dance floor to a place where you could actually hear each other. I never had like a great connection shouting, yeah. So.
Yep. I have a bunch of random shit. Do you want to go? Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one.